Are you guilty of setting a to-do list that is longer and taller than me and then feeling guilty when you don't check everything off? My friend, this week I'm here to help you fix that. I love a good Monday morning, and when I would get to it, I would brain dump every single thing that was on my heart and in my mind, and you would think by my to-do list that I was trying to solve every problem in the world and in my world simultaneously, and then when I didn't get it done, I would feel utterly discouraged when I got to the next Monday and I started transferring all the things on my to-do list from one week to the next. I don't want you to get stuck in that cycle that I was stuck in for far too long. So this week, I'm going to teach you how to set a big 3 that is going to move you closer to your quarterly goals, therefore your ultimate goals, and it's going to be by taking one small step at a time. As I said before, my favorite way of doing this is by setting a big 3. Now, before we can actually set our big 3, we need to talk about a couple of things, clear the air. It is easy to feel like we just need more time. While that may be true, oftentimes we can resolve a lot of those struggles by having clearer and better focus. Now, before we can set our big 3, here are 3 things that we need to do. Number 1, we need to take a look at our calendar. What do we have going on this week and what do we have going on next week? Because we know that those items, those things that we've committed to on our calendar may bring up some items that need to be on our to-do list. Next, you know we've got to check in on those quarterly goals. We need to make sure that every week that we are doing something that is going to tie back to our quarterly goals and help get us where we ultimately want to be. Now, if I said quarterly goals and you froze for a second because you didn't know what yours are for the quarter, don't worry, it's not too late. In this video here, I will go ahead and teach you how to quarterly plan, and I'll give you your own personal assistant that is going to help you with it. Her name is Edna. She's wonderful. She is a quarterly planning and a big 3 queen. Finally, we just need to do a quick check. We need to see what our capacity is at this week. 1 out of 5, where are you at physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally? What kind of capacity do you have for this week? I would encourage you to rate yourself 1 out of 5. 1 being like, I'm just trying to survive this week, and 5 feeling like you can take on the whole world. Now that you've evaluated those 3 areas, you're gonna have a much better idea of where you're at. You're gonna know what's coming up on your calendar, where you're at on your quarterly goals, and what your capacity is this week. We know that capacity is subject to change, life happens, but we know where you're at right now. So we're going to make decisions based in data and not drama. Let's get practical. We're going to take a quick moment and we are going to write down every single thing that is swirling around in your mind and your heart. And we're going to get it on paper or on computer to create some margin in your mind for us to make wise decisions as far as what our big 3 should be this week. So I want you to pause this video, take a moment, and write it all down. Then we're going to use one of my favorite tools, which is the Eisenhower Matrix. Now, if you're using Edna, she's been trained to help you work through this matrix as well. If you're doing it on your own, let me walk you through it. So I love to use Sharpies if I'm doing it with paper, or I like to highlight it if I'm doing it in some kind of Google Doc or Notion. I love using Notion board, and I like to think about it this way. If it is important and it is urgent, it is something that needs to be at the top of my to-do list. If it is important, but it is not urgent, then I'm going to schedule it. If it is not important, but it's urgent, and I have the ability to delegate, I'm going to delegate that guy. I know we don't always have that option, but if I do, I'm going to lean into that opportunity. Now, if it's not important and it's not urgent, then we're going to delete it. Now, you're going to grab your highlighter and you're going to mark through in 4 different colors what it is that you need to do, schedule, delegate, or delete. Now, you may be looking at your to-do list and be like, but they're all in the do it first category. And I want to encourage you to go through it with a critical eye. For me, I am someone that can always feel like something is important and urgent. If my husband and I are leaving on a vacation, I would tell you that cleaning the floorboards is in fact one of the most important things that I can do, when it really isn't. That can wait till I get home. However, leaving a to-do list for the person who is house sitting for us, that is extremely important and something that I do need to get done before I leave. You can also think of it this way. What is a high impact task, something that is going to be serving your clients well or creating revenue? And what is a low impact task, something like tweaking your website? While it is good and important, it may not be the most important thing to do right now. So we're going to go through that list one more time with a critical eye. If you're still getting used to going through these with a critical eye and you're not sure what to do, I would encourage you to, 1, either utilize Edna. She's really good at helping us take the emotion out of these things and be super logical. Or 2, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. As you're getting the hang of setting your big 3, I would love to hold your hand and help you through the process. We're going to pick 3 items from this list. These should be heavy lift items that you're like, it's going to take a little bit of extra focus to get these done this week. But if you look at it, you really know that you can make it happen given what's on your calendar, what your quarterly goals are, and what your capacity is in this season. So we're going to choose those 3 items and we are going to make them your big 3. For me, my big 3 typically contain an item that is maintaining my business, something that is tied to a project this week, and then something that is going to be on my quarterly goals that is pushing me forward and propelling me towards my goals. Now these items, they should be very specific. It should not be work on my website. It should be write copy for my homepage and send it to my editor. Now your big 3, these tasks should be crystal clear. When you read them off your to-do list, you should know exactly what you're supposed to do. While it's easy to write work on my website, when you sit down, that could mean a variety of things such as culling through images for what should go on, picking out colors, working on fonts, making design tweaks, but I want you to be specific. If you're gonna put work on my website, there should be a dash with what does that mean? It may mean rewriting my homepage copy and then sending it to my designer to implement. I want you to be very clear and concise as far as what those big 3 items are, so when you sit down at your desk, you know exactly what you should be working on. Here are a couple of tips to help you actually check off your big 3 each week. Number 1, schedule it. When are you going to work on each of those items? Yes, life is subject to change, but I want you to block out when you plan on working on them. And then, for me, I like to schedule a little overflow time because life does happen. And so on Friday, I have a just in case block of time that I know if some moment gets stolen from the time that I had scheduled to work on my big 3, I can make it up at another moment. It's easy for me to want to put the pro in procrastination, but we cannot do that, guys. We're going to eat that frog, which means we're going to do the unfun thing first. And so I want you to do the hardest, most challenging thing on your big 3 first if your energy allows. Make sure you have them written down and easy to view. I like to save mine to the home page of my Notion board. So every time I open Command Central, they are right there in the upper left-hand corner and I know what I'm supposed to be working on. Wherever it is that you have as your home space for your office, if it's a sticky note on your computer, somewhere on your calendar, a reminder on your phone, make sure that it is front of mind and easy to see at a glance every time you're in the office. I want you to start small. I want you to set your big 3 to begin with things that you know that you can attain. Because what you're going to do is you are going to retrain your brain from someone that writes down 100 million things and then doesn't check them off and fights disappointment to someone who accomplishes what they set out to do. So when you set your big 3 and you start small and you check them off, that first week, you are retraining your brain that you are someone who does what they set out to accomplish. Once you get a couple of good wins underneath your belt, you're going to be able to tackle the more challenging tasks. You can take it one step further. While I do have my big 3 for the week saved on my Notion board where it is easy for me to see at a glance, I also have a big 3 for the day. And that is helping me day by day move closer to my big 3, which is going to help me accomplish it for the week, which will help me accomplish my goals in the long run. If you're like me and you had that ever so long to-do list where you wrote all the things down and maybe checked off 1 or 2 and then trained your brain that I can't do it, there's too many things, I'm not going to be able to accomplish them all in 1 week. We're going to retrain your brain. So we're going to start small with your big 3. I want you to choose items and tasks that you know, no matter what, that you can get them done this week. And that is going to train your brain that you are someone who completes what they set out to do. Our brain loves what's comfortable. So when we have these things that we believe about ourselves, our thoughts go down these neural pathways. But what we're going to do is we are going to dig out these neural pathways and we are going to replace them with trenches of truth. And by that, we're going to prove to ourselves that we can do hard things, that we can accomplish what we set out to do. And as we believe that, as we start gaining confidence from the small wins over time, we are going to be able to reach for bigger and more challenging items. And you'll notice as you get the hang of setting your big 3 every week and checking them off, that your big 3 are going to get a little bit bigger and a little bit more hefty, and you are going to feel confident that you can actually check them off as you're going into the week. We are 42% more likely to accomplish a task when we write it down. Now that increases to 95%, which means there's only a 5% chance that it won't happen, when we tell somebody else that's going to hold us accountable. So I want to encourage you to take your big three and send it to a partner, a peer, a friend, someone that's going to hold your feet to the fire and keep you accountable on these tasks. And that when you tell them that you checked it off, they're going to celebrate big and loud and be so excited for you. And if there happens to be a week that you don't, they're going to ask the hard questions like, what happened in life that made it hard for you to check these off this week? Or did we just spend a little bit too much time watching Netflix this week? They're going to ask us the hard questions because they love us and they want us to help us move forward in our business. And then I would encourage you, do the same for someone else. Be a source of encouragement. Be someone that loves others and is willing to call them higher and help them reach their goals as well. It is so good for the soul when we get to do life with one another. If you need a little help from me or from Edna, you can find me and Edna both below, where we'll be happy to cheer you on and help you in whatever way we can. My friend, I believe in you. You are able to do big, hard things, and if you need help, we are in your corner.